Hey everyone, this is not a regular vlog and therefore it doesn't have the following number. This is a tiny vlog for you to show you what I have in my notions pouches. People who have been following me for a little longer know that I want to have a notions pouch with some basics in each and every project bag. And in today's video I will show you what's in my notions pouches and why I like to have it in there so much. Enjoy! So this is the notions pouch that I got recently from Catharine, and in here is, to start, a needle gauge. This is a very nice and small one. The other ones that I have are a bit bigger, but this one is very tiny. And if you have a needle that does not show the size on it anymore, it might be worn off, or it might have never been there, or you are using DPNs and it doesn't say what needle size it is. This one is easy to check to see which needle you are using. I have a tape measure in here. It has centimeters on one side, inches on the other side, and this one has a key ring here, so I can easily lock it to a lobster clamp or something, but this is a tiny one, so it just fits in my notions pouch. Then I like to have this measure tool in my notions pouch. This is the one that I used a lot when I was still sewing clothes for the kids or for myself, because this one has all these different measures and it's so easy to determine how large your seam has to be, but it's also nice to measure your stitch gauge. And unfortunately it doesn't have an inch on this one, but this is 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches. So if you just measure from the one side of the tool to the other side, all will be fine. And I really like to have this in there as well. Then I have a fix-a-stitch. This is a tool that is primarily sold in the US, I think. You get different sizes. I think there are at least one above this one and maybe 2 above. And then you have the lace set, which contains 2 fix-a-stitch needles. You see that this has the needles pointing the same way, and this is so easy if you have to fix your knitting from stockinette to ribbing or to garter, or the other way around. This is really nice, and I like the deep hook of the needle, and this is really one that I would love to have in all my notions pouches. And so is the Susan Bates handy tool. This has a crochet point on one end, a crochet hook on one end, and a knitting needle tip on the other end. So if you have to fix something in your knitting and you have to lather down, it's really easy to use the pointy end to unpick the stitches. And if you want to pick up a really tiny stitch and this hook is just too blunt, then I put my knitting end into the tiny stitch and I slide the tool all the way through so that it's ready to knit back up and put the stitch back on the needle. I have some tapestry needles, several ones. This is what I would call wool needles. This is just a regular tapestry needle, and this is one that I got in an advent project, but as you can see it is a bit crooked because it is just a tiny bit too large to fit in this little container. Then I was telling about how much I like my scissors in each Notions pouch, and then the battery died, so I'm on a spare one now. I have these tiny scissors. You can just take the cap off, it will stay connected to your scissors, and once you are done you just stretch it a little and put it over the pointy edge again. A little waste yarn that I always have in all my Notions pouches. Sometimes I have dental floss there too. If I'm working with beads, I could of course use dental floss, but I have a different favorite tool. But if you need to put some stitches on hold, it's handy to have some waste yarn, or for a temporary cast on, provisional cast on, sorry, I was looking for the word, then I wouldn't use the dental floss. And if you really need to put stitches on hold for a longer time, I have my knitting cords. There's only one large, there's only one large one in here because the two smaller ones are actually in my Love Notion sweater. And I went to pick this one out from the Notions bag to show you. Let's see. Stitch markers. Of course. I have stitch markers that I use a lot of light bulb markers, especially when I'm knitting socks. I like these little rings if I have to keep them on the needle, and I always have some special ones to show me where my start of round is. And there's another one, a tiny sheep. This is a progress keeper really. If I would like to show you how much I've knitted in 1 week, I will put this in my knitting and then move it up when I've showed you again. So these are all kinds of stitch markers, and I absolutely love these little containers. I have a cardboard nail file in all my Notions pouches, that when you have something that snags on your knitting, you can just use your nail file and get back to the knitting. And for that reason I also have a cream, or this is pure lanolin. If you can't, if you are allergic to lanolin, of course you should not use this, but I'm not, and this is a really nice product from Skeep. So in other Notions pouches there are samples of hand cream or something. So if my hands feel a bit dry and well, if it bothers me, I can just grab my cream or whatever and just take care of my hands. And sometimes I I don't have that very often anymore, but when I used to be a Sock Madness knitter, I'm not a fast knitter at all, but there were moments in the Sock Madness that you really wanted to finish your sock and that your hands got all crampy, and then it's nice to have a hand balm or anything just to massage your hands a little bit so that they can relax a little. There's also always a pen or a pencil in my notions pouch, and that is quite funny really, because I never use print out patterns, and I always make all my notes in my Knit Companion, but it's a habit that I started when I did print out the patterns, so it's still there. This is a tiny overview of the way I use my notions pouches. So I hope you really liked this video. Let me know in the comments if you like to have a notions pouch in each project bag, or if you just carry around one big one, or if there's any other way that you like to have your notions nearby. I hope you enjoyed this, and I wish you happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!